So in the aftermath of the Desmond Bane deal, naturally you hear people talking about the value of Austin Reaves. If you look at their numbers, Desmond Bane and Austin Reaves have very similar numbers. Initially, I was on that train too. I'm not on that train anymore. I don't think that the Lakers will net what Memphis netted for Desmond Bane. They're two different players with similar numbers, but two different players. But I'd have a hard time telling which one is better. You know, they both have, if the Lakers were to trade Austin Reaves for Desmond Bane, I'd be like, okay, that sounds like a fair trade. And I suspect that Memphis would say something similar. I say that with all honesty. I think that's a fair trade. Taking off my Laker hat, I think it's a fair trade. This is the problem that the Lakers are going to have. Rob Pelinka is not a hustler, right? So if that deal would have been on the table for Austin Reaves too, would the Lakers ever know it? Would the Lakers ever figure it out? Now look, Desmond Bane has a different contract than Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves is up for a contract extension, or he's going to be a free agent next year, right? That's two different things. With that being said, the team that acquires him could offer him the best package, right? So, you'd like to think that Austin Reaves would stay with the team that acquired him, and you'd like to think that the Lakers work with that team and with Austin Reaves, to send Austin Reaves a place that he wants to go. So I don't expect that the package would be the same. But still, given what Desmond Bane got, you'd like to think Austin Reaves would get something probably less, again, because of the contract. But he would net something that would be very fruitful for the Lakers. I don't think it's possible. I'm listening to some of the talking heads, and the talking heads are saying stuff like, well, could the Lakers get number 8 and number 17 from Brooklyn for Austin Reaves, right? And maybe this player and that player, maybe Nick Claxton too. No, they can't. I don't think they could. I don't think that teams look at the Lakers like that. Back in the day, they used to have cartoons, and in the cartoon, you would see a wolf look at like a rabbit, and the rabbit would turn into like a big piece of ham, right? Or you would see one guy negotiating with the other guy, and one guy would turn into literally a lollipop or a sucker, And I think that's how people look at the Lakers now. People look at the Lakers as, look, you could get me, you could get me, and you could get me. These assholes over here aren't getting me. I'm getting something out of these guys. The Luka trade was an exception. The Luka trade happened in such a way that I think Dallas almost, once they uttered the words, we're thinking about trading Luka, I think that the Lakers had leverage. I think whatever team they were negotiating with had leverage, right? That was different. That was a superstar, a superstar. Potentially the face of the NBA in upcoming years if Luka could get his fat ass in the gym, stay in the gym, and continue to work. Maybe the face of the NBA. That was different. That was the exception to the rule. As far as the rule goes, man, I don't think Rob Pelinka is on his grind enough. Look, for example, just perfect example. The way talking heads are speaking, it sounds like Dalton Connect is the one that they wanted to trade, and Austin Reaves is the one that they wanted to keep. And you keep hearing, well, is Austin Reaves on the table now? Or is he back on the table? Austin Reaves should have never been off the table. It's two guys that are off the table on the Lakers, right? And I love some of the players we got. I love Austin Reaves. I love Rui Hachimura. I think he's undervalued by talking heads. I love Dalton Connect. But with that being said, I'm a Laker fan. It's two guys that are off the table. Luka and LeBron James. And I'm going to tell you this too. I'm not 100% opposed to trading Luka. You know what? That's going to be the next video I make. But that's me, and I'm not shit. As far as management goes, and as far as how they think, Luka and LeBron are off the table, right? So what are we relying on to get a package like Memphis got? We're relying on Rob Pelinka. And as far as I'm concerned, Rob Pelinka is not on his grind. You know, he took off an entire offseason. When the Lakers showed they were something, he traded for Dorian Finney-Smith, which I think is a trade of appeasement, to appease the general public, to appease Laker Nation, to say, hey, Laker Nation, look, I did something, right? In many ways, I think that trade was done in vain. Did it help the Lakers? You could argue it helped the Lakers, you know, but I think it was a trade on the margins. I don't think it was a trade of a lot of value. I think it was a trade to say, hey, Laker Nation, look, I did something. Yeah, I sat out all offseason, but it was because it was the best thing to do. I think he was on some shit like that. You know, it was a self-validation trade for Rob Pelinka. It was not a trade of... it was very much a trade in vanity, in my opinion. Either way, I don't think that the Lakers have the hustle to get a trade like that done. Again, it's two things, right? Austin Reaves was, in my opinion, he was more off the table than he should have been. That dude should stay on the table. Teams should know, hey, call about this cat. We're willing to listen. Do we want to trade him? Not necessarily. But if the right deal comes, yeah, we'll trade him. You know? But I don't think those lines of communication were open. Not from what I've been hearing. You know? Then I hear, well, maybe we could trade Doesnt Connect for Brooklyn's number 25 and 27 pick. Whatever picks they got. They got 4 picks in the first round. It's a decent shot. You could trade Doesnt Connect for something. But it ain't going to be for 2 first-round picks. You know, and that goes into how the Lakers have developed players. That goes to you're getting kicked in the ass right now. Look, the Lakers got kicked in the ass in Game 5 because JJ Redick did not develop players. That's why. You know, given what Doesnt Connect was for 16 games at the start of the season, he should not have been unplayable at the end of the season. 16 games, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 55% overall field goal percentage, 48% field goal percentage from 3, 85% field goal percentage from the line. Doesnt Connect should not have been unplayable. But we got kicked in the ass in Game 5, in which JJ Redick believed that he could only play 5 guys in the second half. Doesnt Connect did not play in the series. Even at the end of the regular season, Doesnt Connect was ineffective. He had no value. At the end of the regular season, Doesnt Connect had no value to the Los Angeles Lakers. And now you're talking about you want 2 first-round picks from him? For him? Pick 25 and 27 ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. And if it does, it's a sucker trade. And good, I'll give Rob Pelinka props on that. If he gets that trade accomplished, I give Rob Pelinka props on that. You know, I am very reluctant. I think Rob Pelinka is a terrible general manager. I think he sits on his ass too much. I think that for the Lakers, the dude is behind the trends. He is not a trailblazer. He has too much self-preservation. And is too worried about how he'll end up looking to go and do what he has to do as the Laker general manager. I'm not saying as Dallas, as Minnesota, as New York, even as New York, as the Laker general manager. You got to get up off your ass and be proactive. And that is why I don't think that the Lakers could pull off a trade that Memphis just pulled off with a very similar talent in Austin Reaves. Because of the contract, I know they can't pull that trade off. I get that. With that being said, I don't think they could even come close, given the contract. You know, given what Desmond Bane just went for, I would not be surprised if the Lakers got 2 first-round picks and a serviceable role player for for Austin Reaves. I would not be surprised that they could get that, right? It's just that if the Lakers were to get that, it would mean that Rob Pelinka would have to put his nuts on the chopping block. And Rob Pelinka ain't trying to put his nuts on the chopping block. Rob Pelinka is dealing with sure shots. He's dealing with certainty. You know, he's dealing with something he knows is going to work. Well, who's going to make that trade? Who's going to offer you that, Rob Pelinka? No one's offering you that. So now the Lakers are in a position, just as a team, right? The Lakers are in a position in which they have a general manager who will sit out until he knows he got it right. But nobody's going to give you a trade that you know you got right. You know, after a trade, especially after you trade a trade involving the Lakers, you are only going to get offers in which you have to have vision and you have to see something that the other guy doesn't. If you can't do that as the Laker general manager, you can't pull off the trade that Memphis just pulled off with Orlando. You can't do it. You have to walk into a trade and see something and believe in what you see. And I keep going back to Jerry West and how Jerry West was so in it that they said it affected his health and affected his ability to sleep. You know, that's how deep into it he was. And when that dude made a trade, Laker Nation, even if the trade, as fucked up as a trade might look, Laker Nation sat back and said, let's let this play out and see where it goes. Because it was Jerry West, and they knew he was on his grind. Rob Pelinka is not on his grind. He's shown nothing that says he's on his grind. You know? And that is why I initially said, well, damn, if Desmond Bane fetched this, then Austin Reaves should fetch. And even if Austin Reaves should, he won't. He won't. One, you know, no one is going to let the Lakers win like that. Again, the Lakers will win if the Lakers see something that the other teams don't. That's been the formula. The Lakers had to pick in their draft picks, in their trades, in everything they do. They had to see something that other teams didn't. Right? That's how the Lakers won. That's how they picked up players, right? When everybody said Robert Horry is an attitude problem, the Lakers went and got him. When everyone said Cedric Ceballos was an attitude, the Lakers went and got him. Right? Nick Van Exel, just known as a gunner. The Lakers went and got him in the second round. All-star. The Lakers have more of those players in their history than any other team. And while you may be saying, well, in their history, they've been around for forever. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that the Lakers have a propensity to find guys. Just find guys, man. You know, the Vlade Divac, right? I remember Red Auerbach talking about Vlade Divac and say, damn, man, you know, just when Kareem was gone and we thought that the Lakers might be close to being done, they find this motherfucker Vlade Divac. I remember Red Auerbach saying that. You know, Vlade Divac. And back then, no one knew. European players, one, weren't as good. But two, you know, drafting a European player was almost drafting like drafting a high school kid. You know? There weren't as many freshmen that came out. There weren't as many Europeans that were worth looking at. It was like that. And Lakers went and found him. And then once they found him, after you hear Red Auerbach say something of that nature, right? They go and trade him for Kobe Bryant. Mind you, Vlade Divac was an all-star. You know? And that is the grind I'm talking about. It used to be, oh, the Lakers made a trade. It was a big effing deal. It's a big deal now, right? It's just that when you hear the Lakers made a trade, it's often to fix the fuck-ups that we made in the past. You know, we got this guy on our roster. We need that guy. Okay, we'll send out this guy. And hopefully nobody notices that we attached a draft pick or two. 2 seconds. That's all value. It's all value. But we move in a rich man style, right? As if, like in the Hunger Games, right? And they had that one city in which everybody was just eating, while everybody else was poor and hustling, right? Well, we still move like we're just eating, and there's no consequences, and that's what I'm getting at here. If the Lakers want to get value for Austin Reaves, we have to be proactive. We have to be on our grind, because I do believe, and I keep saying this, the Houston Rockets, they got too much talent on that team. Too much talent on that team. Is there a such thing, right? Yeah, there is. They got too much talent on that team. They don't need Jalen Green, and they don't need Reed Shepherd. So the Lakers could look at Houston and try to get the number 10 pick for Austin Reaves. I'm inclined to think that situationally, that be a fair trade, right? Because Austin Reaves is 25 and 6, something like that, right? 20 points per game, 5 rebounds a game, 6 assists. I'm inclined to think that would be a fair trade with Houston for the number 10. And I don't know, is Reed Shepherd a throw-in right about now? I don't know. But I would roll the dice because the Lakers need assets, right? I also think that it's a fair trade if the Lakers trade it straight up. Austin Reaves for Jalen Green. Now, a lot of you will be saying, oh, who wants Jalen Green? This, that, and the other. Yo, Jalen Green is what, 22? Average 20 points per game? He's on this trajectory. Austin Reaves is on this trajectory. Not up, not down. I suspect he stays on that trajectory, right? And, again, the Lakers need assets. They need upside. They need an option player on their team that will say, F you, Luka. F you, LeBron. I'm going to get mine whether you're on the court or not. Jalen Green is a fit-out type player. Austin Reaves is a fit-in type player. So, there are options out there. It's just that the Lakers are going to have to be proactive. That's all it is. Just be proactive, right? And it is Rob Pelinka's job to be proactive. He was proactive with Mark Williams, and I got to give him credit for that. Do I think they gave up too much, especially at that time, considering we don't know or don't have a good idea, didn't have a better idea if whether Luka was going to remain with the Lakers? Or would he be on the roster in 2030? Yeah, you gave up too much considering the timing. But, yeah, that's what this video was about, y'all. It's, people are jumping to, well, Desmond Bane fetched this. What will Austin Reaves fetch in trade? Right? People are on that right now. And I think people are being a little bit too optimistic. What Memphis got for Desmond Bane, Memphis may have initiated. Right? Memphis is a small market team. Memphis is on their grind. Right? The Lakers aren't. And because the Lakers aren't, at least not in that manner, will the Lakers find the situation that another team just really desires? And I'm telling y'all right now, there aren't many Austin Reaves on the market. Situationally, just looking at it, he's ideal for Houston. And I'm not one to just make trades to make trades. You trade Austin Reaves, you're trading the chemistry that Austin Reaves developed over, his entire career. But his chemistry doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. The Lakers need guys who will look at Luka and do this. Right? Yo, man, you're playing like a jackass. So, I'm playing. You come or you stay. I don't care, man. You want to run? You want to stay back and bitch with the ref? Whatever, man. This game is going on with or without you, man. The Lakers need cats like that. The Lakers need guys that their game kind of pushes Luka's game. Like, for example, The beauty, the greatness of Magic Johnson was Magic Johnson, if you weren't ready and didn't have your head right, he'd hit you in the head with the basketball. Right? That would have to happen once, maybe twice. Then after that, game on. And I'm not saying that Luka needs to be hit in the head with a basketball. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we need players who move like that, who operate with that mentality. Luka has flaws, man. And his flaws are almost like team beaters. It's like the destroyer of teams. You know? And again, the more I see Luka, as great as I think he can be, I understand better what Dallas saw now. You know? I get it. Right? So all I'm saying is that Austin Reaves doesn't fit. That dude would fit with so many other teams. He'd be fantastic. You know? And I mean, I even hear Bill Simmons talking about him. Bill Simmons loves him. And I get it. I totally get it. But it doesn't fit with what you got on the Lakers. So if the Lakers find the right fit for Austin Reaves, then they could get not the same value that Desmond Bane got, but they could win. Both teams could win. You know, and that's what I made this video for. This video was just to articulate that Rob Pelinka, I don't think he has the hustle to get that kind of value for Austin Reaves, to get appropriate value even. You know, if the trademark, if the market says Austin Reaves is worth 2 firsts and Nick Claxton, right, or a lottery pick and Jalen Green, or Jalen Green and Reed Shepherd, and the Lakers give up if whatever the market says, something tells me Rob Pelinka is operating behind that. And so if that trade with Orlando was available for Austin Reaves, we don't know it. We wouldn't know it. If that trade minus a pick or 2 was available for Austin, we wouldn't know it. Because I just don't think Rob Pelinka moves like that. Rob Pelinka sits back and waits. You know? Well, what's going to happen when the buyouts happen? Right? He's not in any trades. It's what's going to happen when the buyouts happen. You know, is somebody going to call me? Is someone going to call me with a deal? That's Rob Pelinka. You know, and many of you may say, well, how do you know? You're not in his office. You don't know what's going on. Hey, I don't need to. The asshole sat out a whole freaking offseason when he had LeBron James and Anthony Davis on his team. That's negligent to me. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You couldn't figure out one way to improve this team? This team with 2 top 15 players in the NBA, you couldn't figure out one way to improve that team. That's why I don't think Rob Pelinka is capable of getting that kind of value for Austin Reaves. And I get it. I understand the logic behind people speaking on it. I get it. Austin Reaves and Desmond Bane are so similar. And what one has as an attribute, the other may not have, but the other has attributes that the other don't have. And it's just a matter of finding the right fit. You know, and now, right about now, you got so many teams who, you know, are looking for a player like us. Like, for example, take Cleveland, right? Cleveland is apparently looking to trade Darius Garland. They don't like the mix of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in the backcourt. They need some diversity, right? And they're looking to trade Garland, right? Darius Garland. Would Austin Reaves for Darius Garland? I think that's a good trade, right? And it's not a trade. We all know, look, I believe Darius Garland is better. No doubt about it, right? But what does Cleveland need? They got those 2 big men down low, right? Defense is not really their issue. What do they need? They need diversity from Donovan Mitchell. They picked Donovan Mitchell. They need diversity from Donovan Mitchell. Is Rob Pelinka on the phone with, I don't know. He might be on the phone. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. Because it's just not in his nature. If he makes moves this summer, and I believe he will make moves this summer. If he makes moves this summer, it's because he has Luka. And, when you got Luka Doncic, you have to produce. You have to produce. As a general manager, you have to produce. And if there's one thing that I love about the Luka Doncic trade, it's that. It makes Rob Pelinka have to get up off his ass and do something. Because a whole offseason told us he won't do shit. This makes him have to do something. And so, again, I just don't think he has the proactive nature. He don't have the hustle. He don't have the grind. Jerry West had the hustle and the grind. Mitch Kupchak, a lot less so. Than Jerry West. Mitch Kupchak, if you guys don't know, Mitch Kupchak was Jerry West's protege. Yeah, he came up under Jerry West. But anyway, that's this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll hit you next time.